Today, I've created the greatest player of all time, but he's going to start in the AHL, and in order for him to move up to the NHL, he's going to have to win every major individual award in the Calder Cup, and only then will he be called up to the NHL, and once he gets to the NHL, he's going to have to win every major individual award yet again, also the Conn Smythe and the Stanley Cup. Regardless, once he gets to the NHL, we are going to spin the wheel every single season that he does not win the Stanley Cup, and we are either going to add or subtract from his team, so hopefully it'll help him get there within the 10-year time frame. But for his time in the AHL, it's all on Bendover. He has to do it completely himself. We are not going to spin the wheel whatsoever. Alright, so this is Bendover. He's a 99 overall, 6'9", 256. He's 25 years old. He's a franchise high first line forward, and he has 99s across the board in every single category. He's an absolute demigod, and he's going to be starting his career out in the AHL on the Manitoba Moose. You're probably wondering why the Manitoba Moose.
There's a moose, a boot, a loose, a who's. Okay, that's enough.
Regardless, he's going to start out in the AHL and work his way up to the NHL into becoming the greatest player of all time. Now, if you're new here and you enjoy videos like this, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I post pretty much every second day. We are also on our way to 10,000 subscribers. Why not help us get there? Now, let's get into the video. God damn, Ben, you are looking mighty sexy in this Manitoba Moose jersey. Look at that mustache. It's just so perfect. Just so perfect. I also forgot to mention that Ben is going to be playing on every single forward line because he's an absolute beast. He's going to play the entire game, so he's going to put up a boatload of points. Well, hopefully, right? At the end of year number 1, the Manitoba Moose are going to end up finishing first in the AHL, going 48, 18, and 6, followed by the Springfield Thunderbirds, the Texas Stars, the Abbotsford Canucks, the Calgary Wranglers, while Manitoba was on top of the AHL Hockey World. AHL Hockey World? What am I talking about? Regardless, they were the best team in the AHL. Mr. Ben is going to lead the AHL in both goals with 104 and points with 233. The next closest was 68, Mikhail Maltsev. Drake Caggiula was up there, Ronta, Hoglander, Highmore, but I mean, nobody even came close to Mr. Ben. 104 goals, 233 points, a +70, 38 penalty minutes. He had 21 game-winning goals. For goals, I mean, it was not even close. Igor Sokolov is going to be tied in second place with 32, followed by Reifers 32, Martin Furk at 31, Camino 30, Giroux 28, Stevens 28, Dzingel 27, and the Manitoba Moose are going to play the Milwaukee Admirals in the very first round. Hopefully, we can claw our way all the way up to the Calder Cup Finals and end up winning the Calder Cup in year number 1, get the AHL over and done with very early, and just like that, in his very first season, Bendover is going to play in the Calder Cup Finals against the Syracuse Crunch. Will Bendover win the Calder Cup in his very first season? I mean, he's probably already going to win all the individual awards. Now it's time to win the Calder Cup. And the Manitoba Moose are going to go on and win the Calder Cup as they sweep the Syracuse Crunch in the Stanley Cup Final. In the Calder Cup Final, Syracuse was just no match for Mr. Ben and his Big D energy, as it was a one-sided domination for the Manitoba Moose. It was not even close, and look at them. They are just so sad. What is going on here? This AHL cutscene, honest to God, is better than the NHL one. It's actually a lot longer. There he is, Mr. Ben, shaking hands, a classy man. And there he is, Mr. Ben, coming to lift the Calder Cup for the very first time in his career. What a giant of a man. He's got that mullet, and he's got the stash, and now he has the Calder Cup, baby. So basically, everything checked off in year number 1. He's going to be moving up to the NHL next season. That did not take long at all. Honestly, I thought it would take longer than this, but Ben is moving very fast, and he's trying to complete this challenge as quick as possible. So hats off to him, and hats off to the Manitoba Moose. And here's the team photo. Where's Bendover? Where is he at? Mr. Ben, the best player on the team, is not even in the photo. EA Sports, what the hell is wrong with you? For the playoffs, Ben would go absolutely insane, 35 goals and 67 points in 20 games. He's obviously going to have the most goals at 35 and the most points at 67 in the entire playoffs. Chisholm will come in second with 22, Balkers 21, Bear below would have 18, Reifer 16, Poulet 16, Cope. Bendover is going to go ahead and take home the Art Ross, the Hart Trophy, the Maurice Richard Trophy, the Rookie of the Year Award, and the Jack A. Butter Butterfield Trophy, which is the equivalent of the Conn Smythe Jack A. Butterfield Trophy. It gets me every time, I swear to God. He's also going to win the Fred T. Hunt Memorial Award, which is basically the sportsmanship award. And that is going to do it on Bendover's AHL career. Now it's time to call him up to the NHL and have him absolutely dominate the best of the best. Alright, so we've added Bendover to the Columbus Blue Jackets. He's still a 99 overall. We already know all about him. Now you're probably wondering why the Columbus Blue Jackets? Well, Columbus is not very good. Also, they don't have very good players, so I can surround him with better talent using the wheel. I didn't want to just throw him on a stacked team and instantly win the cup. I wanted this to be a process, but they did finish bottom 3 in the NHL last season, and their roster overall is not the greatest, so we can definitely fill this out with some actual talent. Alright, so now we have 9 years left to win Bendover a Stanley Cup, a Conn Smythe, and every single individual award. Now let's see if we can do that. At the end of year number 2, the Colorado Avalanche are going to end up finishing first in the NHL, going 57, 20, and 5, followed by the Boston Bruins, the Vegas Golden Knights, the New York Rangers, the Ottawa Senators, the Dallas Stars, and Mr. Ben and the Columbus Blue Jackets. We would end up finishing 43, 28, and 11, good enough for 7th in the entire NHL, and we would end up finishing 2nd in the Metro, only behind the New York Rangers. So a very good start for a team that overall is not very good, but you add a 99 overall player to them. Bendover is going to have 78 goals and 181 points, leading our team, obviously, followed by Johnny Hockey's 80, Patrick Laine had 79, Bruce Jenner had 49, Kent Johnson 45, Werenski 40, Marchenko 37. Looking at the entire NHL, no surprise here, as Ben is going to have the most goals at 78 and the most points at 181, followed by the GOAT Nathan MacKinnon, who had 105, Mikko Rantanen had 99, Connor McDavid 93, Leon Draisaitl 90, Matthews had 87, Kaprizov 87, Mark Scheifele would have 87, and Ovi would have 84. For goals, other than Ben, it was Ovi who had the most at 51, followed by Matthews' 50, McKinnon had 47, Mikko Rantanen had 45, Leon Draisaitl had 43, and Connor McDavid had 39. Yet again, Mr. Ben is on the top of the hockey world. He had 176 penalty minutes, 11 game-winning goals. He dominated in the AHL, and now he's dominating in the NHL. And the Columbus Blue Jackets, they are going to be playing the Washington Capitals in round number 1. So we are actually going to end up losing in the very first round in Game 7 to the Capitals. And somehow the Toronto Maple Leafs are actually going to go on and win the Stanley Cup as they beat Winnipeg in 7 games in the Stanley Cup final. The only time you're going to see that is in a video game. For the playoffs, Bendover is going to have 6 goals, 6 assists for 12 points in only 7 games. For the entire NHL, Kyle Connor is going to have the most points. Actually, he was tied. Him and Mitch Marner would have 29 apiece, followed by Mark Scheifele's 27, Austin Matthews 25, Blake Wheeler 24, and William Nylander 24. Bendover is going to take home the Selke, the Ted Lindsay, the Maurice Richard, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy. So already he's won every single major individual award. That is 1 check mark. Now all we need is a Conn Smythe and a Stanley Cup. Charlie McAvoy is going to win the Norris. Nathan MacKinnon is going to win the Lady Byng. The Conn Smythe is going to go to Mitch Marner. Linus Ullmark is going to take home the Vezina. Alright, so we lost in the very first round to the Capitals. Let's spin the wheel and see what we get here. Hopefully something good. Let's add to the Columbus Blue Jackets. And we are going to be adding 1 NHL legend to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Alright, so the NHL legend that we've added to the Columbus Blue Jackets is going to be Patrick Waugh at a 96 overall. He's the best goaltender in the entire game, including legends. He's also the 2nd highest overall player in the entire game, higher than Mario Lemieux, Gordie Howe, Nick Lidstrom. So I did think about adding Wayne Gretzky to the Columbus Blue Jackets, but we basically already have one with Bendover. He's a 99 overall literally all across the board. He's actually a better version of Gretzky. So somehow after adding Patrick Waugh to the Columbus Blue Jackets, we are actually going to end up missing the playoffs as we end up finishing 5th in the Metro, going 42, 30, and 10. Pittsburgh, Washington, Carolina, and New York would all finish above us in the Metro. For the entire NHL, the Colorado Avalanche yet again are going to finish first, going 55, 20, and 7, followed by the New York Rangers, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Dallas Stars. Bendover is going to end up having 56 goals and 144 points, followed by Johnny Hockey's 95, Patrick Laine 83, Bruce Jenner 59, Kent Johnson 52, Marchenko 49. Bendover is going to lead the entire NHL in points with 144, followed by the GOAT Nathan MacKinnon, who had 119, Mikko Rantanen had 99, Johnny Hockey 95, Gabriel Landeskog 95, Jason Robertson 94, Kyle Connor 93, Pettersson 93, and Matthews 92. For goals, Nathan MacKinnon is actually going to have the most at 62, followed by Bendover's 56, Austin Matthews 52. Alex Ovechkin had 46, Kyle Connor 42, Kane 42, Laine 41, and Rantanen 40. And unfortunately, we are not going to win the Stanley Cup this season as we missed the playoffs somehow. I have no idea how we missed the playoffs after adding a 96 overall goalie, and the Colorado Avalanche are going to go on and win the Stanley Cup as they beat the Buffalo Sabres in 7 games in the Stanley Cup final. Don't ask me how Buffalo made it all the way there, I have no idea, but regardless, the greatest team of all time, Colorado, is going to take home the cup. For the playoffs, Nathan MacKinnon is going to have 23 goals and 48 points in 27 games, followed by Mikko Rantanen, who had 39, Gabriel Landeskog 34, Tage Thompson 24, Jeff Skinner had 23, Alex Tuch 19, Olofsson 19, and Rasmus Dahlin 19. But I mean, 23 goals in 27 playoff games, that is an NHL record. Bend Over is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy, while the GOAT Nathan MacKinnon is going to take home the Maurice Richard. Rasmus Dahlin is going to win the Norris. Johnny Hockey is actually going to take home the Lady Byng. Nathan MacKinnon is obviously going to take home the Conn Smythe. I mean, who else would it be? And Mr. Bend Over is going to take home the Selke. All right, here we go yet again. Spin the wheel, see what we get. And we are going to be adding a 90+ overall player to the Columbus Blue Jackets, any of my choosing. Alright, so I've added Cale Makar to the Columbus Blue Jackets. He's a 94 overall, 23 years old, franchise high potential. His stats are absolutely off the charts. He's the best defenseman in the entire game. I mean, we have an absolutely lethal first line with Johnny Hockey, Bend Over, and Patrick Laine. So we're not so worried on offense, even though we have a -2 across the board here. Jesus Christ. Other than our first line, the rest of our forward core is not the greatest, but I wanted to start with our defense, get that covered. We have a goalie, we have a #1 D-man, and then we can finally move on and fill out the forward core. So after adding Cale Makar to the Columbus Blue Jackets, we are going to end up finishing first in the Metro, going 50, 23, and 9. Columbus is also going to end up finishing first in the entire NHL, finishing with 109 points, followed by the Boston Bruins, the Minnesota Wild, the New York Rangers, and the Carolina Hurricanes. At the bottom of the NHL, yet again, we have the Chicago Blackhawks. Bend Over is going to have a bit of a disappointing season, 63 goals and 134 points, followed by Johnny Hockey's 106, Patrick Laine 80, Cale Makar 70, Bruce Jenner 48, Ken Johnson was also up there, Roslovic. Bend Over is going to have the most goals at 63 and the most points at 134 in the entire NHL. So maybe it wasn't a down season. I mean, it's a down season in his books. Followed by Johnny Hockey's 106, Alexander Barkov at 96, Braden Point 95, McKinnon 93, Svechnikov 91, Pasta had 89, Marty Necas 88, and Adam Fox 88. So overall, the scoring was a bit lower than usual here in the NHL this season. For goals, other than Bend Over, the next closest was Nikita Kucherov with 48, followed by Ovi's 45, Patrick Kane had 42, Matthews 42, Jarrett McCann is going to have 41. Jarrett McCann's previous career high was 27 goals, but this season he's going to score 41. Kaprizov, Crosby, and Marchand would each have 40 apiece. Cale Makar will be way down here with 9 goals and 70 points for defensemen. So the Columbus Blue Jackets are going to end up playing the Buffalo Sabres in round number 1. No worries though, Pekka Pasta and the Ottawa Senators already clapped them, so it should be an easy round number 1 victory. And somehow the Buffalo Sabres are literally going to clap our cheeks in 5 games in round number 1. I have no idea how. And the Colorado Avalanche are going to end up getting revenge for us in the Stanley Cup final as they beat the Buffalo Sabres in 7 games. How the hell is Buffalo making the Stanley Cup final? Not only that, how the hell did they beat us? For the playoffs, Bend Over would have 3 goals and 9 points in 5 games. A pretty good first round. For the entire playoff run, Valery Nichushkin is going to have the most points at 33. Actually, he was tied with Mikko Rantanen, followed by the GOAT Nathan MacKinnon, who had 32 and 18 goals. Gabriel Landeskog had 32, Tage Thompson 30, Alex Tuch 27. Man, the Colorado Avalanche, they have the top 4 scorers for the entire playoff run. Bend Over is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, the Maurice Richard, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy. Adam Fox is going to win the Norris. Nathan MacKinnon is yet again going to take home the Conn Smythe. Freddie Anderson is going to win the Vezina, and Alexander Barkov is going to take home the Selke. All right, we are going to spin the wheel yet again, see what we get here. Hopefully something good. Please upgrade your best player. No! Damn, we gotta upgrade our best player to a 99 overall, but in this case, Bend Over is already a 99. So since we couldn't upgrade Bend Over to a 99 overall because he's already a 99, we've gone ahead and upgraded our second best player, Cale Makar, to a 99 overall. He used to be a 94, and now he's a 99. That is definitely gonna help us out. We have a 99 on D, and a 99 on forward, and a 96 goalie, so there's no reason that we should be losing in the very first round of of the playoffs. At the end of year number 5, the Columbus Blue Jackets are going to end up finishing 3rd in the Metro, going 45, 30, and 7. Somehow we actually had a worse record than last season despite adding our best defenseman up to a 99 overall. Carolina would finish above us, and also the Pittsburgh Penguins, who went 50, 31, and 1. For the entire NHL, the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to end up finishing 1st, going 53, 22, and 7, followed by the Colorado Avalanche, the Vegas Golden Knights, the Florida Panthers, and the Boston Bruins. We would end up finishing 10th in the entire NHL. Bendover is going to have a bounce back year, scoring 68 goals and 161 points, followed by Cale Makar's 88, Johnny Hockey 85, Patrick Laine 67, Bruce Jenner had 63, Kent Johnson 59, Marchenko 33, Robinson 29. For the entire NHL, Bendover is going to have the most goals at 68 and the most points at 161, followed by Nathan MacKinnon, who had 100 points, Mikko Rantanen would have 97, Panarin 97, Barkov 95, Alexander Ovechkin had 94, Marner 94, Scheifele 93, and Brad Marchand 93. For goals, Alex Ovechkin was actually close to Bendover. He would score 63 goals, followed by Austin Matthews, who had 53, Connor McDavid had 50, Nikita Kucherov 46, Mark Scheifele 41, Marchand, Tkachuk, and Patrick Kane would each have 38 apiece. And the Columbus Blue Jackets are going to play the Carolina Hurricanes in round number 1. Are you fucking kidding me? In the very first round, we win the first 3 games against Carolina, and then we lose the next 3, blowing a 3-1 series lead, and now we're in game 7. Oh my god. Carolina, please give it a rest. Oh my god, we literally have overtime in game 7. We're tied 3-3. We were leading 3-1 in this game as well. What is going on? And thank god the Columbus Blue Jackets are going to pull this out in overtime of game 7 as we defeat the Carolina Hurricanes in round number 1. Suck it, Carolina. You're not doing it to me again. Are you kidding me? In game 7 of the conference finals, we are going to lose to Boston 5-0. That is the effort you put out in game 7. 1 win away from going to the Stanley Cup final, and the Boston Bruins are absolutely going to shove their up our ass. God damn EA Sports, you guys mess with me way too much. And the Boston Bruins are going to go on and win the Stanley Cup as they defeat the Colorado Avalanche in 5 games in the Stanley Cup final. For the playoffs, Bendover is going to have the most goals at 15 and the most points at 31 despite only playing 19 games, followed by Rantanen's 21, Pasta had 21, Gabriel Landeskog 20, Kucherov 19. Mr. Bendover is going to take home all the awards, the Selke, the Ted Lindsay, the Maurice Richard, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy. The greatest player of all time, Victor Hedman, is going to win the Norris. Charlie McAvoy is going to take home the Conn Smythe, and Jake Ottinger is going to win the Vezina. All right, here we go. Yet again, spinning the wheel. Hopefully we get something good here. Now, unfortunately, we cannot add the Art Ross winner because that is Bendover, so we are going to have to spin the wheel yet again. Oh my god, thank the Lord Jesus Christ. We are going to be adding 3 NHL legends to the Columbus Blue Jackets. So the 3 NHL legends that we have added to Columbus is Wayne Gretzky at a 97, Gordie Howe at a 95, and Mr. Nick Lidstrom at a 94, the greatest Swede of all time. So our top D pair is going to be Nick Lidstrom and Cale Makar. That is absolutely lethal. And our first line is going to consist of the great one, Wayne Gretzky at a 97, Mr. Bendover, Big D Energy at a 99, and Mr. Hockey, Gordie Howe at a 95. We have a +5 on our first line. Our second line is going to be very good as well, with Patrick Laine, Kent Johnson, and Johnny Hockey. And of course, we cannot forget we have Patrick Waugh in goal at a 96. So the Columbus Blue Jackets are going to absolutely dominate the regular season, going 64, 17, and 1, finishing 1st in the Metro. And we would also finish 1st in the entire NHL with 129 points, followed by the Boston Bruins, the New York Rangers, the Minnesota Wild, and the Buffalo Sabres. And the Chicago Blackhawks are still at the bottom of the NHL, finishing dead last. Bendover is going to end up having 62 goals and 147 points, followed by Wayne Gretzky's 128, Gordie Howe 115, Cale Makar 93, Johnny Hockey 90, Patrick Laine 84, Nick Lidstrom 65. For the entire NHL, Bendover is going to have the most goals at 62 and the most points at 147, followed by Wayne Gretzky and Gordie Howe. Brad Marchand would have 102, Connor McDavid 102, Leon Draisaitl 99, Pettersson 95, Cale Makar 93, and Nathan MacKinnon 91. For goals, other than Bendover, Gretzky would come in second place with 55, followed by Kucherov's 49, Ovi 49, Patrick Kane had 45, Leon Draisaitl 44, and Patrick Laine 44. And finally, the Columbus Blue Jackets have made the Stanley Cup final. We are up against Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers. Can we please finally go on and win our first Stanley Cup, I believe, in franchise history? And finally, the Columbus Blue Jackets have gone on to win the Stanley Cup as they beat the Edmonton Oilers in 5 games in the Stanley Cup final. We beat the Oilers so bad that their ass turned pink. I wonder what else is pink. And Bendover has completed the challenge in under 10 seasons. Bendover is going to take home the Conn Smythe for the Columbus Blue Jackets. I mean, who else would it be? He's the greatest player of all time. And here comes the captain, Bendover, coming to lift the Stanley Cup for the very first time in his career. He won the Calder Cup in his very first season in the AHL, and it's taken him, I believe, 6 years in the NHL, but he's finally a Stanley Cup champion. One of the greatest, if not the greatest player of all time. He's going to pass it off to the former greatest player of all time, Mr. Wayne Gretzky, the great one. We definitely needed him as we added him with, I believe it was Gordie Howe and Nick Lidstrom. They would definitely help us out through the course of the regular season and definitely in the playoffs as the Columbus Blue Jackets are finally Stanley Cup champions. Of course, we can't forget about Patrick Roy, a 96 overall goalie. It seemed when we added him, we actually got worse until we added a few more better players. So I don't think he carried us, but he definitely would help us out. And here it is, everybody posing for the team picture. Where is he at, baby? There he is, Mr. Bendover. Finally a Stanley Cup champion in the NHL and the greatest player of all time. For the playoffs, Connor McDavid is going to have the most points at 38 and the most goals at 17. Actually, him and Ben were tied. Bendover would have 37 points, Draisaitl 35, Zach Hyman had 35, Gordie Howe 24, and Wayne Gretzky 23. Bendover is going to take home the Selke, the Ted Lindsay, the Maurice Richard, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy. Cale Makar is going to take home the Norris. Wayne Gretzky is going to win the Lady Byng. Bendover obviously is going to win the Conn Smythe, and Patrick Roy is going to take home the Vezina. The Columbus Blue Jackets straight up clean sweeped on all the awards as they were by far the best team in the entire NHL this season. Bendover is going to finish as the greatest player of all time. He completed the challenge in under 10 seasons. I believe it only took us 7 seasons to do it as well. I mean, he blew by the AHL so quickly in 1 year. I thought it would take a lot longer than that, but regardless, we almost have reached our goal of 10,000 subscribers. If you enjoy videos like this, consider subscribing to the channel and helping us out. It is almost here. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, don't be silly. Wrap your willy.